chapter 3, verse. And Rashi said that Naomi had said Boaz is her relative. Rashi says Moda Atanu is Krovenu, he's a relative. And she said, that Naomi, her mother-in-law, said, my daughter, I'm going to do what's good for you. Boaz is a relative, Asher Hayit and Naratav. You're with his young maidens. Hinehu Zora Tagora and Hasor Moel. Behold, he is sowing. There's no other way to say this. He's sowing his threshing floor on the threshing floor barley tonight. He's sowing his seed, as they say. And
How
that
does she
is,
know that?
the mother-in-law knows. She knows. She's got her intelligence. How did she know? It's an excellent question. The Rashi tells us, Shayahador Parutz Beganev of the Gezel, Hashem Begorno, Shmor Gorno, because that generation was filled with theft. So he slept on the threshing floor in order to guard it from thieves. But sorry to have to point out what's so obvious to everybody else, but it's clearly euphemism. We want him to be sowing his seed with you. That's what she's saying.
The English translation here is, behold, he is winnowing.
Yeah, he's winnowing. So what they do is they scatter the you know what winnowing is? You take the grain and you want to reveal the berry, so you scatter everything. You scatter everything into the wind, or however they have a winnowing thing, so you can just get the berry.
So that's what it says he's doing. It doesn't say he's doing what you just said.
No, it's the language is evocative.
Yeah.
Language is evocative. She's saying this is your opportunity. Yes, Seth.
You mentioned that Boaz very recently lost his wife.
Rashi says that.
Rashi said that, right?
Yeah, when they came home. Well, no, not. It's the day they came back from Moab was the day that he lost his wife.
First of all, just on a practical level, is there anything that says that you shouldn't be with another woman after Shiva is over, or is it Shloshim, or is there any amount of time that you're prohibited to find and be with another woman while you're in that level of mourning?
Well, it's a good question. And the Gemara in Moed Katan discusses exactly how long everybody is supposed to wait. But for sure, in this case, first of all, that's rabbinic. It was certainly not enforced at this time.
Right.
But also, Ruth was she had no children, and she was a widow. So they would be more lenient under these circumstances for Ruth, for sure. So to marry her, there would be leniencies. And even after that, what? Yeah, but Boaz has to marry Ruth if he's marrying Ruth.
No, but I think Seth is asking if he's allowed to winnow on the floor with other people.
Yeah, so he's allowed to because it's Ruth, and so there's a leniency for that relationship.
But I'm thinking that there were other people besides Ruth. No?
Yeah, but he was interested in
Right.
her.
My practical question was, I understand that it was all rabbinic and we're not held to the standards and nobody's counting days. But my question also was, pragmatically, what is the halacha?
So we have to look up the Gemara Moed Katan. I think the Gemara talks about 3 festivals, and generally speaking, or under certain circumstances, 30 days, under certain circumstances, a Shiva. We have to look up the holiday exactly. We have to look up the Gemara Moed Katan exactly to refresh our memory on that.
You ever hear of Rav Yaakov Edelstein?
But my friend, he's a single guy. He's a widower, and the people try to set him up all the time. And he says, when the phone rings, every time the phone rings, he says, just tell me if the body's been buried already, because they're always trying quickly.
You ever hear of Rav Yaakov Edelstein from Bnei Brak?
No.
So he died a few years ago, but when his 3 sons were very, very young, their mother died from a very serious illness, and it was very sudden. And right after the Shiva, he married her sister because she agreed to take care of them and raise them as her own. So
you're allowed to marry the sister brother-in-law relationship is the only relationship which is prohibited, but then becomes permitted. If he had just divorced his sister, then he wouldn't be allowed to marry her. But since she died, he was allowed to marry her at that point. That's the only relationship where first it's prohibited and then it becomes permitted. So, Jerry, you had a question.
Yes, I have three comments. One, it looks
Wow.
like Naomi is pimping for Ruth, which is not nice.
Well, let's just hold on. Let's just say this a little bit differently, Jerry. I know you mean no disrespect, but we were saying that Naomi is, the Bible knows of certain relationships that we have today. Like we think, oh, we're the ones who invented these things, but they're already back in the Talmud Tanakh. So the Bible understands the concept of a surrogate pregnancy. Naomi is unable to have children, but the baby will be called after Naomi. That's what happened at the end. So Naomi wants to work with Ruth to arrange for Ruth to be the surrogate, because she's going to be considered the mother. So Ruth is part of this plan, but maybe Naomi is a little suggestive here. Yeah, what's your second point?
Second point is, I tuned in late. Wasn't there a closer relative to Ruth to marry her, but he didn't want to, and so Boaz is the substitute.
So we're going to get to that, God willing, in chapter 4. We might not get to that until tomorrow, Friday morning, maybe around 2 a.m. But that person is called Ploni Almoni, or maybe that's just a reference to the person. And that's in chapter 4, verse 1, that Boaz can't marry her until Ploni Almoni rejects the marriage, because Ploni Almoni has the first right. And he's a close.
All right.
And he had expressed no interest up until that point.
Okay. And the third point is, it says in the pasuk, these young girls were closer. They were close to you. What girls are we talking about?
So Boaz had young maidens who were working in the fields. They were worker bees. They were picking the crops. Didn't you ever read like Grapes of Wrath? Everybody goes to work.
I see.
These are the migrant workers or whatever. These are the workers or members of Boaz's family. They were picking the crops.
Okay.
That when it comes time to the barley harvest, everybody's got to work.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So then she says, "Virachat v'sach," and then you wash your hands and you anoint yourself. V'sam. So this is interesting. So there's a couple of kriyuk sivs in these next few verses, and it's very interesting. Kriyuk siv is where it's written one way and it's read the other way. So it says you'll put your clothing on. V'yarada. Now the way we read it is, and you'll go down. But the way it's written is v'yaradati, and I'll be the one to go down to the threshing floor. So this is maintaining the ambiguity of who's actually going to be the actual mother here, and that Ruth is the surrogate. Don't make yourself known to the man until he's finished eating and drinking. Why doesn't she want to be made known to the man until he's finished eating or drinking? Why doesn't she want Boaz to see her before she finishes drinking?
He wants her to
Because she wants to entice him when he's drunk.
Yeah, that's seemingly the obvious one. But don't do it like that. It's gonna here, like this.
No, we want to put it down.
I know, but let me help you. It goes up and that goes down.
Goes up.
Yeah, like that.
Oh.
Perfect.
I should do that
What
with
does
this.
Ploni Almoni mean really?
Well,
It's
so
not his name, obviously.
Ploni Almoni means it's become a name for like John Doe.
Right, it's translated as so-and-so.
Yeah, but some people say that was his actual name.
Oh, interesting.
So then, so she says, let's see what Rashi says. Verachat, and you wash. Mitinu avodah zarah shalach. Wipe off, wash yourself. Could be a reference. Wash away your idolatry. Could be a reference to like the mikvah. V'sacht, and you shall anoint elu mitzvos. You shall place the mitzvos upon yourself. Are you trying to say something, Jerry?
No.
It's a reference to the mitzvos. V'sam simosayach, and you'll put your garments on. These are the begadim shel Shabbat, dressed like Shabbat. The Aradat Hagoren, Rashi says, the Aradat Tiksiv, it's written, I will go down. The Zechuti Teredi Mach. Rami says, don't worry, my merits are going down with you. That's a charitable reading by the Midrash, that she's accompanying her. So there's a few people in the bedroom that night. Ruth, Naomi, and Boaz. Al tivadiu ish, don't let Boaz know you're there. Vahi b'shachvo, and when you go to lie down, when he goes to lie down, v'yadat et hamakom asher yishkav sham, and then you note the place where he lies down. Then uvat v'gilit margolotav, you come and you reveal his legs. Now, and why is he revealing his legs? They don't wear underwear back then. They don't have underwear, so you take away his robe, basically. And then, don't worry, b'shachaf, you lie down, he'll tell you what to do. So it's written that way that I will lie down, but we read it that you will lie down. So that's the ambiguity that the text is maintaining. Yeah, Jerry, you're trying to say something?
Well, there was probably a scribal error. Some scribe in the ancient days goofed up the words.
No, in this case, I wouldn't say that because it's the same situation. This is now 1, 2, 3. This is the third word in a row where there's ambiguity. Who's lying down? Is it Naomi or Ruth? And so it's trying to maintain that Ruth is going as Naomi's surrogate. And then she says, and Ruth says to Naomi, Kosher Tomri Eseh. Kosher Tomri, and then it's read but not written. We put in a word, Kosher Tomri Elai, everything that you say to me, I will do. So why does it say that? So Rashi says, Kriv lo ksiv, this word Elai is read but not written. Amar Shema yavo echad mina kilavim v'yoralcha v'afu pikein alay liyashev advarim. Why does he say that? He says that maybe hold on one second. I was just trying to see here. There's a lot of commentaries on it. But it says here, Kariv Uksiv, it's read when I in Amar Shema Yavo Echad when I kalavim the Uralcha. Maybe one of the dogs will come and attack you. It's upon me to make the matter straight. So they talk about these discrepancies in the text. All such the art scroll here says all such textual readings were taught to Moses at Sinai in Nedarim 37b. Discrepancies between the written and spoken versions are apparent but not real. I don't know that we have to say.
When you write a rus from a scribe, do you leave a space for the word Eli?
I did write this. I did write the book of Ruth. I gave it as a present to Ruth and Yoni. But I'm trying to remember.
Like, do you have to consciously make room for the word, even though it's not there?
I'm trying to remember. I think that you leave just a letter, but I don't remember by heart now what we did there. It's not usual to leave out a word. There's a lot of kriya or ksivs, but it's not usual to leave out a whole word. Yeah, Jill.
So there's a little, that's a truck, right? You see the space
Yes,
there?
I see it. I know it. It's saying
There
there's
is
a word there.
space.
Here there is, yeah. In this
Yes,
book, there's
I
a
do.
space. Because it's like
You see?
Asher Tom Ri said, they put Eli Esek, it's a truck that goes with it. Eli.
What is that truck?
Well, it's a Mercha Tibcha. So Tomri Esek, Tomri Eli. I don't know the truck for the Megillah, but it's It's a merchat
I
tifla.
wonder, but that means that there's a word.
Yeah, it is. Eli is the word that's missing.
I understand, but that's what that truck would mean there? Or
Yes.
or they could.
They
put
go
the
together.
other truck.
Those are the trucks that go together. with
The truck
previous
was
one.
not, yeah, but that's not written. Truck's not written.
It's written for
Not in
our
the
sake.
Megillah.
It's written so
Yeah.
that the laner knows how to do it, but the word still isn't written.
Right.
Neither is the trope.
Jerry had another question.
Yes. You mentioned some reference that God prescribed these wordings.
That's the Art Scroll edition, which I'm consulting, cited in the Durham 37B, which we did, which says that all the Kriyu Ksivs, all the read but not written, or written but not read, all come from Moses at Sinai.
Yes, but the only thing that God wrote was the 5 books of Moses. He did
Right.
not. He did not write the Nevi'im and the Kesuvim. So Ruth,
Good point.
the story of Ruth did not happen yet at the Mount Sinai revelation.
So yeah, you'd have to say that they seem to be pushing this Gemara beyond. We have to check that Gemara again, but I think you're right that the Gemara probably was only referring to the 5 books of Moses and not to the prophets. No, I mean, nobody says that the book of Ruth was given to Moses at Sinai. Book of Ruth was written by Shmuel, the prophet, not by Moses, the prophet. So that's what the Gemara in Baba Basra 14b state, or 15a states, that the book of Ruth was written by Shmuel, not by Moses at Sinai. So you pointed out a good point, and we could bring it up with them. But I think they're so afraid. What happened is the Art Scroll is so afraid of saying that because what most scholars say, not the Haredi scholars, but like most Bible scholars, say, oh, this reflects 2 versions of the text. And so the Art Scroll is very afraid to suggest that, because then all of a sudden you're suggesting that the transmission of the text is not immaculate and that there's problems. But of course, we know that there's multiple versions of the Torah scrolls. For example, Chabad has different, very, very slight, but even in the Torah scrolls, they're different. Sephardic, Yemenite, there's different versions of letters, and so it's not a they don't want to go down that path, but they're just pushing this evidence of this traditional text of the Gemara beyond what the Gemara is even saying. Okay, so now the next verse states, she goes down to the threshing floor, and she did everything that her mother-in-law told her to do. She said, wash and then anoint and then put on your garments and then go down to the threshing floor. She didn't do that. She said, if I'm going to go down while I'm already adorned, then what's going to happen is one who comes in contact with me will say that I'm a harlot. And she went down first to the threshing floor. And then she adorned herself like her mother-in-law commanded. So first she went down, Rashi says, how do we read this? First she goes down, and then she did like her mother-in-law commanded. Because if she had got all fancy dressed at home with all the makeup, it could have been very dangerous for her. Yeah. Verse 7. Vayochel Boaz, and then Boaz ate. Vayesh, and he drank. Vayitav libo, and his heart was satiated. Vayavo ishkav l'ktzei areva. So now he's eaten, he's drunk, he's come to lie down at the end of the arema. Arema is a bundle of grain. Vatavo balat, and then she came stealthily. Vatagal margol itself, she uncovered his feet. Vatishkav, and she lay down. Rashi says, Vayitav libo. So we might have thought his heart was satiated. You might have thought, okay, he had a pizza dinner or he had a nice barbecue. No. Rashi says, Asak b'Torah. He was studying Torah. That's why he was quiet. the Davo Balat, that she came secretly benachas. She didn't make a tumult. And then what does the verse say? Mahi b'chatzi alayla. It was in the middle of the night. Very beautiful phrase that reminds us of the redemption from Egypt. Wait. Mahi, hold on. Mahi b'chatzi alayla was in the middle of the night. V'yacharad ish, and the man trembled. V'yilafet. V'nei isha shochaves margosav. So he all of a sudden trembled in the middle of the night, and behold, there's a woman sleeping at his feet. V'yacharad ish. Why is he trembling? Because he said, "Kasavar shedu, ubikesh lazok, v'ochazato." So he thought, oh boy, there's a demon here. And he began to cry out. So she grabbed a hold of him and she, I'm not sure exactly what that word is meaning here, but she held him by her arm. But Rashi says the word vayilafet means she stroked his arm, that it comes from the word Liafto bezrotah. So the word vayilafet, he's trembling, and she stroked his arm. Vayilafet kamo vayilpot shimshon. V'nei isha, there was a woman. Natanya doa rosha. He put his hand on her head. V'hikir shehi isha, and he recognized that she was a woman. There's other places he could put his hand to recognize that she's a woman, but that's what he recognized by putting her hand on her head. Okay, what were you going to say, Jerry?
This verse seems to be out of order because earlier, a few sentences earlier, it says that when she lay down, Boaz, told her, "I'll give you instructions." And now we find that we find that he's startled. So this pasuk should have been up a few sentences earlier.
No, Naomi said, when you lie down, Boaz will give you instructions. And so now she's listening to Ami, and she lay down, and Boaz is startled. And so now Boaz is going to give her the instructions.
So he was not frightened, but here in this pasuk, he's frightened. So
yeah, give him time. He's going to figure it out. Jerry, give him time. He'll figure it out.
Come on, let's get to
Okay.
You give him time. He'll figure it out. Vayomer, and he says to her, Miyat, who are you? Vatomer, and she says, Anochi Ruth amasecha. I am Ruth, your maiden. Ufarast kenafecha amatecha, and you've spread out your cloak over your maid, Kigoelata, because you're a redeemer. So Rashi says, Kinaf bigodecha, the corner of your garment, l'chasot betalitcha, to cover with your talis, l'ashon nisuin, an expression of marriage.
That's what we do under the.
Chuppah, yeah. Kigoelata, you're a redeemer. We go nachalat ishi. It's your job to redeem the inheritance of my husband, as it states with vago aloha karov elav. V'chamoti ani tzrichot v'ani tzrichotum kornachato. My mother-in-law, and I need to sell his inheritance. V'ata lech leknot, you should buy it. K'mei gamoti, also marry me with her, ima, with the property, sheyizkor shem hamezon nachlaso, so that this will keep the name of the deceased on his land. Kishavo al-sadeh yomru zot eshet machlon. When I come to the field, they'll say, "Oh, this is the wife of Machlon." So she's like, "This is your job, to buy the field and marry me." Okay, I know that it's a cliffhanger, but we're going to be reading this on Shabbos morning, but we'll study it still on Friday night. We'll study it on Friday morning at around 2 a.m. Give or take a half hour in every direction. Okay, we'll stop here.
Have a Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.